All right, all right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and everybody else out there just chilling on this beautiful June afternoon or evening, wherever you may be. This is a brand new episode of How Do We Get Here? And this is a very special episode, man. This is one that I'm really glad we put our foot down and decided to do because I think it's an important thing to just show that you have support for, you know what I mean? Like out and out, just devout, you know? And I'm glad you guys all feel the same and decided to show up, you know what I mean? Because it's good to let the creators and just people in general know that you got their backs, you know what I mean?
I'd be better about it if I actually knew people's personal lives and what they did their personal lives. I don't follow any of that stuff too closely, so sometimes I'm a little in the
out of the loop. Yeah.
But hey, what are you gonna do? Oh, Anthony's in the house.
Cool. Yeah, he's
Hello,
a buddy. He's a buddy of your guys's, right? Like, let me throw the link in the chat. See if he wants to hop in and chill with us. He's a phono.
Yeah.
Yes.
Been on the last 4 or 5 episodes.
All right, Anthony. Here's the link. It's going to be in the chat if you want to hop on with us, buddy. And just even just share your picks and jump on and just conversate with us if you want. But yeah, this is our Pride celebration, and I'm going to go ahead and let a couple of our guests introduce themselves because they've been on the show a few times, but want to get people readdressed to them. Zach, go ahead and let people know who you are.
Hey, yeah, I'm Zach. I was on the show most recently with my new Kickstarter, Death of Comics bookcase, which is kind of my transition from running a comics journalism site to making comics. Thanks for having me, guys. It was a lot of fun picking stuff out and kind of going back and forth with Joe, getting ready for the show. So happy to be here.
And you're doing fulfillment on the book now.
Yeah, man. Actually, except for the survey delinquents, I finished it this week. So yeah, and what I was really proud of was I did it within 60 days of the campaign ending. So that was like a person, like, good. I don't know if anyone noticed or cared, but I cared. So it felt pretty good to wrap it up.
I'm sure people noticed.
Yeah, that kind of turnaround's always
appreciated. Yeah.
Man, always.
I hope so. Yeah. Because my book was an anthology, and there's been a lot of those that have just kind of like not happened. So it's like that was a lot of thing I would hear from people like, oh, is this actually going to happen? I'm like, no, it's done. Like they're like, oh, are you going to do the fulfillment? Like, yeah, what do you like? What do you think? Of course I'm going to do it. I can't wait to get it out there. So that was part of it.
And so if people miss the Kickstarter, can they pick up you must have extra copies? Is there a website you have
Definitely.
Or a page, or where can people pick it up if they're interested in checking it out?
I appreciate bringing that up. So I actually have a plan for that I'm pretty proud of. Just as like a treat to backers, it's not going to be available till September.
Okay.
So like you backed it, you get to read it first for a few months, and then I'm going to debut it for sale physically at Baltimore Comic-Con in September. And then
cool.
that week I'll launch my online store at comicsbookcase.com. If you want.
Nice, cool. Yeah. So September. If you missed it on the Kickstarter, either go meet Zach in person and pick up a copy at the Baltimore Comic-Con or Comic Convention. What's it called?
Baltimore Comic-Con, yeah. And I'll be tabling, so be easy. Yeah. Easy enough to find. I won't be moving around.
Or if you're not in proximity to Baltimore or you can't make it there, well, like Zach said, you'll have a site up and you could snag the books there if you like.
Cool. Yes, sir.
You guys are saying it wrong, though. It's Balmore. You gotta say Balmore.
Balmore.
They won't let you in if you don't say it like that. So practice ahead of time.
Them's the rules.
Start practicing. All right, and a very frequent panelist that we have on with us, Cookie. How's it going?
It's going. Hello. Yeah, so I do this show quite often, and I love you guys. And you can also find me on From One Night Only on YouTube. And I've also been doing a podcast with friends of the show, Gathering of the Geeks. We do Interview with the Geeks. So that's an interview with the vampire, episode by episode breakdown every week.
This is some Mandela effect shit. I got to go off on this for a second. No. Like my whole life, it's always been interview with a vampire. I swear to God. And now it's the vampire, and it's breaking my reality.
Oh, you've been saying interview with a vampire, like A?
I've been saying it since the 90s when it came out.
I'm with you too. I thought it was Interview with a Vampire until the new AMC show came out.
Oh my God! Wow, that's crazy.
That's Mandela effect, man.
Yeah,
CERN keeps playing with that Hadron Collider, man, screwing up reality, making new world lines and shit.
Yeah, I even went and double checked. I was like,
wait, what?
Wait, was the movie actually? I thought the movie was A, and they just changed it to the for the show, but it's always been the.
It's always been the.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, I had to go on Wikipedia to.
Yeah, me too. I was like, I didn't trust it. I was like, nah.
Something's not right here.
Yeah, no. They just want to differentiate a little bit so people know the difference, you know.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's pretty audacious him calling himself the vampire. I mean, like.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, vampires have pretty big egos. So.
Yeah, I guess.
Especially if you watch the show, like they all pretty much have huge egos. Surprised anyway, I haven't watched the next episode, but you know, I'm surprised they don't kill each other more often. That's probably why they put the laws in place, because they have such big egos that they'd just be killing each other off all the time.
Yeah.
And you live that long, you get bored. You know, it's like, it'd be fun, kill each other.
It's too easy. It's too easy to kill humans. That's
right.
That's something to challenge each other.
Let's
yeah,
spice it up with some murder. I'm so bored.
With some, yeah, vamp on vamp murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So it's our Pride episode. Johnny wanted to do this episode, and I was like, "Giddy up, let's do it." So we invited some people who'd be interested in coming on and sharing maybe some creators, characters, movie shows that fit within the Pride banner or within that community of LGBTQ plus. I always mess that up, but I think I got it.
I think
so. Yeah, so we'll go around and we'll share like shows, books, characters, things that we love that definitely influence media through that lens.
Does anybody have a check-in first, though? Like anything they'd want to shout out that they've seen recently? I kind of have one, and it does pertain to tonight's speaking points. Joe's probably a little tired of me talking about this movie, but I saw the TV Glow. Very, very much fits in. I thought it was a very interesting and neat way to look at the idea of growing up in the 90s before with body dysmorphia. It's a very surreal kind of a horror take on like that idea, and I thought it was presented very well in an art house style way. I thought it's a very gorgeous film. The music is nice. I wish it was a little punchier, but I thought that was maybe the only kind of iffy part, but I thought the acting was great. I have a friend, I'm not going to name them, but like they don't really care too much for Justice Smith, but I think in this movie his like really kind of bland, like emotionless, like it fits the character that he's playing into a T. I think he really shined in this film, and I thought that this was a neat look at an idea that like I only know as an abstract feeling, so it's kind of cool to see it in an abstract state of being body dysmorphic, you know what I mean? And
I think he plays like an undiagnosed high functioning autistic person, right? And because it takes place in the 90s, it wasn't a very common thing, so it wasn't really diagnosed often, so that's why he struggles and people find him kind of off-putting. And anyway, it was all right. Like I mean, like I told Johnny, it's Jacob's Ladder for this generation.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I heard nothing but good things about that movie though.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's fun. It's
not fun. It's a sad movie. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a fun time.
It'll.
But I mean, in the way it kind of
It's fun, like never ending
incorporates the
story
show.
and
Yeah, exactly.
Watership
Like
Down, fun like that. You know what I mean?
fun in the way that it tries to be creative.
I
Oh.
like the film. I thought it was very beautiful, but I can't say that it was fun. Like
Oh,
there
hey,
was
Jake-
there
Jacob's Ladder was fun.
the show that they watched was pretty neat though. It's kind of cool. It kind of plays on like that whole
Ooh.
like back when kids remembered the Nickelodeon shows being darker than
Yeah.
they really were. Like that's kind of a
Mhm.
thing that they play on in it.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
thought that they kind of touched on a lot of things from my childhood nicely and something to represent Gen Z though. I thought that was kind of a cool thing. You know, I didn't know that they would be interested in making stuff that took place in the 90s, but I thought it was definitely worth checking out.
Well, they've overdone the 80s now, so they got to move
Yeah.
on to the 90s.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, and
That's
like
true.
as you can tell, like I'm kind of a '90s
Yeah.
age. I think a lot of us are getting there, and we're like
The
the ones
bleached,
buying the entertainment now. You know, so it's our
yeah.
time to have our decade, kind of.
Oh, that's why there's so many like 90s bands making comebacks because
Mhm.
we all have jobs and disposable income now. So
Yep,
you have
exactly.
all these 50-year-olds rocking the stages again.
The
Some of them
world
are even
tour.
older. Yeah, some
Yeah.
of them are even older. Some bands I went and saw, the dudes are in their 60s. Woo, let's just say some of them are a little stiff nowadays.
I bet.
looks difficult up there.
Yeah. Some of them it did, like Ministry. I'm sure he probably moved. I
Oh
don't know.
yeah.
Maybe he moved more back in the day. Yeah, Keith Morris too. He's up there. He's almost 70. So
Oh man, that was like Rage Against the Machine had that tour, and on the first show he was like doing his old stuff and blew out. I think he tore his Achilles tendon
that
on like
sounds about
the
right.
first show of the tour. Yeah.
Oh.
Can't move like that anymore.
Can't do all that stomping, buddy.
No,
Mm-mm.
no.
Or you gotta, you know, you're gonna be doing a tour, and you gotta hit the gym maybe a few months before you'll go out on tour and maybe get back into a little bit of shape.
Serious yoga or something. Like I think
Oh yeah, yoga.
once you get over 36, like jumping is scary. Like you don't know what's gonna happen when you land. You know.
This is true.
Like a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
Snake eyes. Damn it.
Can't
My
jump
knee.
anymore. Yeah.
Oh, my back.
Yeah. So how do you want to do this, Johnny? We'll each take turns bringing one up, and we can
Yeah, I thought,
elaborate and discuss it. And
yeah, just the normal story stick, you know, style, you know, pass it around.
all right, so we'll let Zach go first. We'll let one of our guests go first.
Yeah. Start with comics.
Okay.
You want to, man. So
Yeah. The first one I picked was the Tilly Walden book I have here, On a Sunbeam.
Mhm.
I don't. Have you all read this book? Have any of you all read this book?
I started it on her website. I read like the first couple chapters because Joe told me about it 2 days ago, and like I tried to get into it a little bit. I'm digging it. I love surrealism, so like I kind of got Carla Speed McNeil Finder type feel.
Yeah,
Feeling
there
to
you
it.
go. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It kind of starts where you're not sure like what the rules of the world are, you know, like you know if it's just characters kind of at prep school or something, but then all of a sudden they're like floating through space, you know. But really it's just kind of a story about like friendship and kind of like, you know, how those relationships can get complicated when you're a certain age with like loss and attachment and things like that. But like I don't know, like if you just I don't know how well you could see this, but it's just a beautiful book. Like the cartooning in it's absolutely incredible. Like these big expansive
Pretty.
visuals where space kind of blends into their like the world they inhabit. Like I just think it's really well done, really pretty. Um,
That
so
limited
yeah,
color palette just
that's
makes
my
her
first
shine too.
recommendation. And she went on. Yeah, and it's like it kind of like it's one of those books that really uses the color palette to capture the like emotional tone of the scenes, you know. So like red when it starts to get a little heated, but then calms down and gets grayer when it's like lonely, you know. Like yeah, it's just really well done. And I recommend all her work as well. Like I don't know if any of you read those Walking Dead books, the Clementine ones she did. like
she's the one she's okay. She did the Clementine ones. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a trilogy. I think there's a third one still due out, but the first two are out now, and those are both kind of a different approach to more character specific approach to Walking Dead. I recommend those as well.
And I was wondering, so I went and looked if On a Sunbeam was inspired by a song, and yes, indeed, it is. She said it was inspired by the Bell and Sebastian song titled "Asleep on a Sunbeam."
Okay.
So,
It wasn't the Nirvana song though, but yeah.
No,
Sebastian, that makes more sense with the visual style of the book though. Like
yeah,
probably got that like lo-fi EDM type feel to it, like techno going on, tinkly techno.
So I knew
little
there was
whimsical
a song
too,
that had Sunbeam something in it. So I was like, oh, I wonder if it has anything to do with the song, and indeed it does.
That's a good catch. I didn't know that. I never realized that.
And you could check out the book on the website onasunbeam.com. Like I was reading it on there for free. Like there's like 20 chapters of it, like just right there available online. So
cool.
For people that I'm definitely gonna pick a copy up. It looks fantastic. I didn't really hear about it until Joe told me it was Zach's pick, but it's a very gorgeous book, and yeah, it's got the got a really iconic indie comic look to it. You know what I mean? It just and like good indie comic look to it.
And it's a big book too. Like it's over 500 pages long, so you can really get kind of take your time with it and get lost in it when you're reading it. It's one of those that like you really kind of like let the vibe of it sort of like wash over you.
Yeah, it's you can get it pretty much anywhere to Amazon. I think any bookstores because it's is it Avery Hill the publisher?
First Second, yeah, it's
First Second.
Yeah, she's done. I think one of her other books was Avery Hill, but the edition I have of this one here is First Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think maybe the hardcover might be done through Avery Hill. Seems to me I saw it written on the cover on one of the when I went and looked it up. So.
It might have been Avery Hill first. They might have published it first, and then First Second because they have wider distribution. Put the paperback out everywhere.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happens a lot with them really small labels like Avery Hill. Like they're kind of like a first catch, you know what I mean? Like I
totally.
wouldn't be like we had Pidge on. I wouldn't be surprised if her Wheat Paste wasn't also put out by like Image or maybe like Boom by the end of the year. You know what I mean? Because but like I love that there's like little boutique labels out there that do that for like small, and then also let them take their books to a higher level if that's attainable for them. That's really awesome system, I think.
Yeah, it's really cool because it's like Avery Hill is one of those where I'll read whatever they're putting out just because I know that they curate their line really well. Like the whatever, if they're publishing, it's probably interesting and different and worth picking up.
So that's a fat boy, that one.
It is. I could drop it here and make a lot of noise. My dog would start barking.
Yeah. So that's why Johnny's like, oh, I started reading it. I was like, did you finish it? He's like, no.
It's a project. Well, yeah.
I was like, I know Johnny can make it through books pretty good sometimes. Like, and he's like, no. It's like, well, how many pages is it? Right away, that's what I asked. I was like, if you didn't finish, that must be a pretty thick one. And it was like, yeah, there's like 20 chapters. I was like, oh, okay.
I will say I had a second comic, not to like take up too much more time, but I had a second comics pick that came to me after we talked. Have any of you all read Crisis Zone, the Simon Hanselman?
Nope. I think
really, you guys would love Crisis Zone. I actually have it. This will be my honorary pick. I have that here as well. Simon Hanselman did the Meg and Mog comics, and actually did this one during the pandemic, like in real time as it was happening on his Instagram. Was doing 10 panels a day for the entire first year, from like late March 2020 until the end, and like told a nonstop story. I think he might have taken Sundays off, but like did 10 panels a day through the end of the year, and then added like, I think because all these pages are like this, with 12.
12, okay.
Yeah, so he added two extra panels to every page to kind of like flesh it out a little bit more past the Instagram story. But it's pretty wild. Like, and he was like adapting the story as it was happening with like the protests that summer and like all the new variants and things. Like, and it goes to some pretty crazy places. And there's a lot of trans characters and queer comics representation. It's like, I think I named it on my old website like my favorite comic of 2020. So that would be a secondary pick to sneak another one in here that I remembered last minute. I was like kind of looking at my shelf right before the show started. And I was like, oh man, like can't believe I didn't also mention this one.
Hey Devin, what's up, buddy, man? It's been a while. It's good to see you're still kicking it, man. And I hope you have fun at your volunteering, man. Like that's good. Like hope you have fun at the event, buddy. Yeah, he's an old school fan. I think it's cool to see him back.
I don't see him on socials as much anymore. But I think with all the Elon Musk and all the
all that
socials,
I barely see you guys on socials anymore because
socials
everything is buried.
Socials a hellscape now. The algorithms.
I don't see anyone.
My algorithms are finally starting to come back to how they were. But for a while, man, it was just bots and bots and bots and bots. It was crazy.
I get a lot of random threads like oh, cats in suits, a thread, you know. I'm like, this is cute, but it's not what I'm here for.
They try to sneak those threads like into your Instagram feed, like to try to hook you off of Instagram to go to threads. It's like I don't want to go to threads.
Cookie, I know you have a comic pick.
I do. Okay, so my comic pick is Nine Stones. I love this story. It is very much like a YA. It reads YA to me, but it's like a coming of age story set in a weird mafia kind of setting.
I would give a disclaimer. I would give it the same disclaimer we gave Dead Boy Detectives.
Which is
mature YA.
It's mature YA.
Yeah, I'd give it mature YA because some of the subject matter in it is very
mature.
The way that they handle the sexual content in it can be a little aggressive for younger audiences. Not depressive, but it mixes violence with sexuality a little bit. So a little bit of that S&M stuff. So I think it's more for a young audience, but maybe 16 and up?
No, well, I mean, that's the thing. I wouldn't say it's for a young audience at all. But to me, it reads very YA coming of age story with a mature twist.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. But I would just stipulate 16 and up. That's all.
Yes, maybe 17.
Yeah.
But it's a great story about Alistair, Ali, and he's the son of a mafia guy, and he's like kind of getting into the business, but not really. And he has like this handler showing him the ropes named Chris, and they wind up falling in love and or getting into a relationship, and things go awry as they always do. And it's a cute story. I can't even say that it's cute. It's not cute at all, but it's
I'll say they're adorable in their dysfunction.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the way they have a lot of baggage, but the way they handle it together and the way their dysfunction works together it kind of makes them an adorable little kind of unit, a couple, or so that's why it tackles some weird subject matter, but it handles it, I think, in a good way that makes it very palatable.
Yes.
Where it's not too off-putting. Like if someone's reading it, they'd be like, "Oh no, I can't read this. It's too intense. It's too much."
Yeah.
And because they always come around and they have each other's back in the end, right?
Right.
Like they push each other's buttons, but in the end result, it's to help them get over some trauma they have in their lives.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was really surprised by, like Johnny said earlier, the art style. It has
It should be a lot more popular of a book just by how it looks. It's beautiful when you
Well,
look at
that's
it.
why
It's
I'm surprised that it really was like nobody was really talking about it
and
when it was coming out.
I only read the first issue, so I didn't get too much of the subject matter. But like, I didn't even really get the point where like it would be off-putting to like most audiences, to where it would have to be kind of a more fringe underground title. Like, I don't know why this isn't like put out by Boom or IDW. Like, it looks more like one of their books, kind of even more than your typical Behemoth Sumerian book, which you put it out. It's kind of, I think it just got unlucky by being found by the wrong people, because
Yeah.
I could have seen this book like really thriving at another label, but I don't think that Bohemus Sumerian ever really understood what they had going on with any of their creators. And
Yeah. This book was on Behemoth, but it came out around the same time I think Sumerian was taking over Behemoth.
Yeah.
So I think it might have, the marketing or whatever, it might have gotten lost in the shuffle, where, because this is an 8-issue series, right? 8
9,
total?
I think.
9?
Yeah, 9.
Okay, it makes 9 stones, so 9. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we played off that, but yeah, it was fun. I was surprised when I saw you were picked, because I put it on my poll. I thought it looked interesting. Then you were posting every week that you're reading it, but I had so much backlog that I never got around to, and I was like, I should, read it, and then we could like kind of chat about it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you're,
I had no one to talk to, Jeff.
It's the worst. Yeah.
I
I
know
know how that feels, man.
Yeah, that's
I
the
know.
worst.
I said we're doing this episode. You're like, I'm gonna talk about this. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go dig them out of my box. Now I have an excuse to read them, and yeah. So this series is done, written, drawn, everything by an Italian creator called Samuel Spagno, and he's worked in storyboarding, animation. He's done a little bit of everything. He studied in graphic design, so he's an Italian creator, and yeah, I don't know if he plans on doing any other books, comics, or if he's going to go back to storyboarding or some other visual medium. But
Yeah.
I mean, it
Well,
was a
I
fun,
mean-
it was a fun book.
Mm-hmm. No, well, and this story he continues, I think, on his Patreon.
Yes, because this
So-
was a web comic. He started as a web
Yeah.
comic, and it got picked up by Behemoth.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it ends on a cliffhanger, which I love, but I want to know how it goes. So
Maybe.
I gotta
Is
I gotta
it?
hunt down the Patreon or something.
Oh, that's true. He does have a Patreon. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it must be. He must be posting.
Yeah, I think the whole series is up there. So
Well, just go subscribe to his Patreon. Usually they have a PDF you can download, and so
Yeah.
you subscribe to it for 2-3 months.
Yeah.
You know.
that's the plan.
I got a couple of recs for you coming up in a little bit, Devin. I got you.
All right.
I got one. Well, I mean, we can wait till you do yours.
No,
I don't want to step on it.
No, go ahead, man.
It was that one from Boom, about neighbors. Well, it was Jude Doyle who wrote it. The Neighbors, it was just called. And it was like a family had moved to a new neighborhood, and one of the parents was trans, and like, it's a horror story that kind of springs out of like, you can never really know what's going on with your neighbors. I really love that book though. I thought it was a really well done one last year, really freaky. And I also move a lot, so like I meet a lot of new neighbors. like it kind of spoke directly to some of my interests. But yeah, that was a good one with the trans main character.
Hey Emmett, how's it going? Emmett's in the chats.
He was gonna be one of my backups if we got into like overtime, but like a lot of Christopher Sabella's characters books have really good trans characters in them. One of my favorites is Test, which he did for Vault Comics. It's kind of a cyberpunky type thing about that's done with an artist that I'm going to talk about in detail later. And he also Sabella also did Crowded, which the main character, that's probably one of my favorite trans characters. What was their name? Oh man, I can't believe I forgot the character.
For Crowded?
Yeah, Crowded, the badass one with the tie.
Yeah, that was good. I really
That was a really good
love that
comic.
one.
Yeah, I can see the character in my head.
Yeah, she was they were so cool, man. I got to hit myself right in the face for saying that. God damn it. I am a
All right, let's see. I think I got it here. Where's the synopsis? Oh man, there's not much on it. I don't remember, but yeah, it was fun. It was basically the story is what people can crowdfund for assassinating someone,
Yeah.
like taking cancellation to the next level, cancel culture. I think it kind of plays off that idea a little bit.
It was like the more people hate you, they just continue to donate money, so the bounty on assassinating you gets higher and higher.
Yeah. So one of the characters is Charlie.
That's the one they want dead.
Charlie.
Vita is the badass trans character's name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's got the cool tracksuit outfit, kind of reminiscent of what did we say? We did an episode on this. Kill Bill.
Kill Bill-ish.
Sherman-ish. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and I think
good comic. Yeah.
Is it 2 or 3 volumes?
I think it ended at 3, but like
3, eh?
but it was one of those books that Image did where like they just did the first arc in issues and then they released the second 2 in graphic novel
form. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. That's what. Yeah, because it did start in floppies and then move on over. That would be they should do a collected edition, just one oversized
nice
hardcover.
Yeah,
that'd be I'd be interested in picking that up. Yeah, not unlike you, I've only read the first trade. I'd have to finish reading that as well. What else you got there, Johnny?
And I'm gonna kick off mine. This is a comic we already did like a whole episode on, but it is really important to me. Enigma by Peter Milligan and Duncan Fegredo from originally from Vertigo Comics. This is the version you'll probably find. The hardcover by Dark Horse Burger Books. It's usually pretty cheap too. I highly recommend getting it. This book was so impactful for me when it came out. I remember because I just thought it was going to be like, Vertigo. It's going to kind of be like Preacher or something like that. And I did not really like look into it when I got the trade paperback. And I remember kind of being a little embarrassed or shocked when I was reading it, kind of nervous, like, I hope nobody catches me reading this, you know what I mean? And like it's so cringy and so embarrassing that I at one time actually fucking thought that way. But it's one of the books that really helped me not think that way. And I like the message in it. I like the fact that the character, like, even though he wasn't being made to be gay anymore by like the superpowered main I don't even know if he's a villain-ish good guy Enigma himself, but like basically he was kind of turned the main character gay because he liked him, but the main character ends up discovering that like, no, this is how I'm supposed to be though. And I thought that was a really cool message. And like I had read like Sandman books that had like gay characters and stuff, but I'd never read a comic book that was just mask off about gay people. And the main character like being comfortable about it and just being like, that's what this book is about. And I don't know, it really kind of shook something loose in me and really kind of made me change my vocabulary quite a bit. And the way, I mean, this is of course like high school times. We're talking about like 1998, but
yeah, and it definitely tackles the subject matter of identity.
Identity,
struggle with once you come to that and you're at peace with it, that's one thing. But this actually tackles like the struggle of accepting your identity and being comfortable with it, and
well, it's kind of crazy because it comes up with this really neat way to do a David Cronenberg horror version of trying to tell your mom that you're gay. That's kind of like the main crux at the end of the book, and like it's brilliantly put together. That's why like Peter Milligan's always going to be like one of my top writers ever, because like I love Ennis, I love Morrison, I love a lot of those other guys that really helped pave the way, but Milligan with Enigma, he really drove the silver spike,
and it's done in such a skillful way that it's incorporated into the story, where that's not the main story, but it's an integral part of the story, but it's an overreaching theme within the story, right? It's not. Anyway, I thought he did a fantastic job of, not hitting people over the head with it, where this is what it is, and very skillfully done. I thought it was great.
Yeah, that and you're right, Johnny. That new hardcover is really nice, and you could get it pretty cheap. Like it's one you could order right now from like I think it's less than $20 or right around $20 if even. It's a nice hardcover edition they just put out.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe's got that copy, and I'm jealous. I actually have the old Vertigo floppy. I actually want to get the Burger Books hardcover. Now, trying to catch it in the wild. I might just get it off Amazon though.
I have it as well. Pretty sure I got it off Amazon. Hate to admit, but
Plus, Duncan Fegredo's art is just gorgeous. But I really loved it when it was very experimental back in the '90s. Like most people probably know his like BPRD and Hellboy stuff.
Yeah.
Which is gorgeous, but like I liked his kind of more wild Vertigo shit. Like, so if you're a fan of his and you kind of want to see his a little more surreal, a little more loose, definitely check out Enigma. It's kind of a different art style for him as well.
Mhm.
And Joe, I guess it's to you, bro.
Yeah, well, I didn't pick so much comics as I did characters because, like I said, I couldn't tell you which creators identify as what, or I just read their books and enjoy them. I don't really pay that close attention to the people's personal lives, so I just took characters that represent kind of like this one. I loved Crush. The series, she had a little mini series that came out as well, which was great, about her struggling with her relationship with her girlfriend and her abandonment issues with her father, who is Lobo. So it ties all these little story threads together, and it was a lot of fun. And I like that character. It's kind of all my characters you'll see are all female, and they all have a very common theme: is they're all tough nuts, like badasses. They're not vulnerable on the like they don't put up. They hide their vulnerability behind a mean or tough facade. So another one that I loved was the Far Sector.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Mulan. Like, I'm not a big Green Lantern fan, but I loved this character. I think she's fantastic. Probably my favorite Green Lantern. So if you haven't read Far Sector, this is a great one.
That Crash, she's done by Mariko Tamaki, right? That's
the miniseries. It's Mariko. Yeah, she wrote it. Yeah, exactly.
Really fantastic at writing, really fun, feminine comics. I enjoy like all of Mariko Tamaki's rebellious, riotous books. I think she's a total blast. And
the last one will be my favorite Batman, which is Batwoman. Kane is a great character. I mean, I would love them to do a movie or a show with a hard R rating. Like really, like if you think Batman is brutal, pick up a Batwoman, either Rucka or the New 52 ongoing series.
Yeah, the one that Williams wrote into.
Yeah, and he draws a fantastic Batwoman. It's insane.
Just to look at that damn series, man, it is one of the most gorgeous books ever put on paper, man. Like J.H. Williams III, like fucking.
Yeah, and it's a great character. She's a military brat. She's a lesbian coming out of like a military background. So her relationship with her father is strained for obvious reasons, because because
of prejudices and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that definitely leads to the hardness of the character, seeing as how dysfunction with the father, the military training background. I mean, I love that. It's my favorite Batman book. Is that Detective Comics was what? It was 5 or 6 issues that Rucka wrote, and then they turned it into an ongoing in the New 52, which was also very good. At least I haven't read the whole thing. I think I read the first 3, 4, maybe the first 5 arcs of it, and it was all really good. I really enjoyed it. So those are they all happen to be DC characters too. I mean, I don't know, maybe
they got their finger on the pulse a little bit faster and a little bit better than Marvel did. Like Marvel, they tried, I guess, a little bit with what was his name? North Star, the one X-Men.
Yeah.
But like they Yeah, but they basically just kind of like cameoed him into stuff. They didn't really do anything. And
Dakin, they did Dakin.
I think the only really kind of cool, awesome, positive homosexual character that Marvel's had is Benjamin Dietz from Brian Michael Bendis' run at X-Men. I thought he was probably the only I don't
Is Dakin is the Wolverine clone, right?
Yeah, but he was he was
Mm.
a villain. I didn't was he
But he's not a villain anymore, I don't think. Anyway, it's hard to follow all that
Oh.
stuff anyway. Villain, not villain.
I didn't know he was LGBTQ.
I think he's bisexual.
He was bisexual
because he gives off pheromones that make people attracted to him. So like,
all people.
It's
yes.
basically he's a date rape machine, right? So
Yeah. Oh my god.
That's probably not how they pitched it. But
so it's like spiking someone's drink almost. That's what he is like. So yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other like really big ones that Marvel's had. I mean, they kind of did Iceman for a little while.
Their big
I think they changed him back already.
Oh, he's not gay anymore.
I don't know.
He's only gay for Pride Month.
that's
how they work.
That's the only about the big two. I find they pander a little bit. Like
it's pandering.
Like Pride Month. It's like what? Just I don't know. What can you just consistently write good, characters that like all the time? Why does it? Why do you have to focus it all on 1 month? Like,
yeah, you got like Marvel won't even like commit to Iceman, but like DC's like, yeah, it's okay. John Constantine's bisexual. You know what I mean? And that's
there's another character.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he's like, he was the flagship of an entire like label. You know what I mean? And like they were masked off about that.
Then you have Midnighter and Apollo.
Yeah.
Midnighter straight up right from the beginning. And he's
from like the 2000s as well, like in a time when that was not common in superhero comics at all.
So yeah, and he fits right into my archetype too, like just the cracking skulls. Man. Yeah, exactly. Cracking skulls.
I'm violently gay.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean,
if you guys want to read something in that vein, definitely get the Steve Orlando Midnighter run. That was so violent and so funny. But like I thought that Steve Orlando actually wrote Midnighter better than Ennis, dude. Like I think Orlando probably wrote my favorite Midnighter book.
Yeah, that was it was like 12 issues he did or something. But those are some of those violent beat 'em up superhero comics I've ever read.
Yeah.
So I mean, DC's been at it for a while with the representation. So
they kicked the door down. They had I count Vertigo as DC, and Gaiman and Morrison were kind of the first guys to at least start injecting that into the books. I mean, like Sandman, and then there was stuff in Doom Patrol, and like Morrison always snuck that in because actually he was like one of the first trans people I saw in comics. There, the first time I ever saw Grant Morrison, like it was during when he was writing The Invisibles, and he was pretty much going around in drag at that time. He wore a pretty little bob wig, and he had like a Jackie Onassis dress that he'd always wear, and that's how I was introduced to the Mad Scottish Man, you know what I mean? And I love him for it, you know what I mean? At the time, I was like a little like, what's wrong with that guy? Because it was 1994 or whatever. But
well, they also had Rachel Pollack, who took over the Doom Patrol run after Morrison, was like the first trans woman to write a main big two superhero comic. They did this month. They had like a DC Pride issue because she passed away this year, honoring her and her work.
Okay. I know they have an omnibus out for that. You can get the omnibus of her work.
Yeah, her and Ted McKeever, beautiful book too.
Yeah, those like the Morrison Doom Patrol are some of my favorite comics ever, but the Pollock Doom Patrol that follows it up right after is like excellent. Like it's
that's
almost
what I've
just
heard.
as good. Yeah, like it changes, but it doesn't like lose a step.
Yeah, she took the emotional stuff that Morrison played with, and she really went full into it. You know what I mean? Like the book they didn't really go on adventures too much. It was more just about them, and that was, it was more introspective. Like it was just as sharp and poignant. And I'm a huge fan of Ted McKeever's. So like when she came in, so did he, and
Mhm.
I love the way he draws Robot Man.
Devin mentioned Terry Moore before. Fantastic the way he writes relationships, so natural, so like I love every book he's written. Like he's got such a knack for character development, like just their personalities, and they just come like the emotion, just the subtle facial features he draws just adds so much character to all the characters in the book. I mean, he's fantastic, and he's been doing it since what, the 90s. He's been writing these types of stories. So
As long as I've been reading comics, pretty much Terry Moore's been doing what he's been doing. Like Strangers in Paradise, as long as I can remember, pretty much. And then from there, like Motor Girl and Rachel Rising and all the rest.
Yeah, good stuff. Cool. So, any more comic stuff?
Well, I think we should start the next round, man. Whatever
All right.
Zach wants to go with.
Next round.
Me, do you want to talk about movies, Joe? We had kind of an overlap.
Okay,
a little
sure.
bit with our movie.
Sure.
Too.
Do the movie.
Yeah, I had we were kind of talking before the show about what movie we would pick, and I had recently watched Bound, which is there you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I stepped on Johnny there. I didn't realize he was going to click. We did double click.
I
You're
remember
just really
this.
happy about it and zoom in.
I remember this poster. I was really happy about this poster when it came out, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Sexy movie. Yeah.
96, I believe this came out, right?
Yeah, 96. And what we were talking about is like if you take kind of like the fashion out of it, like it feels a little timeless. Like it feels more like something you'd see now than you'd see in the 90s. And it's I think Jennifer Tilly's character is like a mob wife. And her neighbor, or like the woman like remodeling the apartment under her, they like kind of fall in love and hatch a plan to like murder Joe Pantalone. What's his name?
Yeah,
Joey, I always call him Joey
Pantaleone.
Pantaleone. Yeah. I always call him Joey Pants.
Joey Pants.
He was in Sopranos. Anyway, they like hatch a plan to kill this mob guy, and things get violent, and it just feels like a movie that's like way ahead of its time, with the like violent, oppressive husband and the lesbian love story that kind of blooms and sets into action this like really cool, pretty intense mob flick.
Yeah. You got some great actors, like you said. You have
Gina Gershon.
Pantoliano. He plays the neighbor. He's part of the mafia in some capacity. They don't really explain what he's not the bigger up. Then you have one of our favorites, Johnny Christopher Maloney plays Johnny. He's the badass kind of he's the one who takes care of problems for the.
He's a loose cannon.
Yeah, for the mafia. So he's one of the main
cannon
characters.
Fixer, yeah.
Then you have Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly are the two that play the romance.
Lovers.
Yeah, the lovers. Yeah, and the other one, she's Gina Gershon just gets out of jail looking for a job, so that's how she picks up this job at the neighboring apartment to do some renovations while that person is away in India or something. So, and then like Jennifer Tilly kind of seduces her by bringing some coffee over. Would you like a cup of Joe? Starts like flirting with her, and in a manipulative kind of way too, to try to, have it's like Zach said, it's definitely a good movie. I mean, that opening scene, the closet scene, like that kind of camera work wasn't done that often back then, and it's such a beautiful opening scene for a movie where from the light you get the chain, that pulls, so it follows the chain down and it goes to the closet. And if you know where the Wachowskis are now, it's almost like them kind of fetishizing, like transitioning, like because they go to the pumps, the women's clothes. It like back then I would never think that, but today, knowing kind of where they are, you're like, okay, maybe this is something that they've always, and it's maybe I'm reading too much into it too. Maybe there's nothing there about that. Maybe it was just a great camera shot that led to the opening scene that set the stage for the entire story. Because you have a Gershon tied up in the closet, right? And so then from there, it lets you know how did we get to this point, and then the story goes from there. It goes back into the past, but I always remembered that opening scene. Fantastic, fantastic opening scene.
Yeah, and it just holds up. Like if you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend like catching up with that one. Like it's well worth it, and it doesn't feel dated, and like you'll get hooked from the beginning, and it's like one of those movies that's really tense throughout.
Mm-hmm. And it's fun because doesn't go from the point of view where, like Gina Gershon's character is a lesbian. She tries to seduce the housewife, right? That it's almost the opposite.
She's like reluctant. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Jennifer Tilly, who's like in a relationship with a man, is the instigator.
The instigator.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that it's not from the other point of view where, oh, lesbians are home wreckers and stuff like that. Like that some people are, get that kind of that. Anyway, I won't get into it because, but some people have ideas of stuff like that, especially in the 90s, right? So
yeah, well, because it's an easy scapegoat.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, but even then, like give it maybe 5 more years, Zach, and 90 movies style will be back. Like it's already starting with the glow of the TV thing there.
Yeah.
So the styles will be just spot on.
They remake Twisters. I'm hoping they remake Hackers or do a sequel to Hackers, maybe. Like Johnny Lee Miller's kid got a pair of rollerblades and a computer.
Yeah, well, Skater, the super baggy pants and everything's coming back already.
Rollerblading too is back.
Yeah. Skater girl look. All the girls have got that skater girl look going again. Yeah.
No, well, I'm telling you, it's gonna be like another 5 years, and we'll have a remake of Showgirls. Just I'm calling it now. It's gonna happen.
Bill Skarsgård is gonna play Kyle MacLachlan's character.
Oh my god, that'd be delicious.
That's a good casting.
You can cast him in everything.
Yeah. He
If
is
it's a remake
already.
If it's a remake, he's gonna be in there, man.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, he's our go-to. Yeah, so that movie was and that was their first movie. That was their first full feature.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild too if you watch it as like a first feature, because it is really like that shot you're describing. There's a lot of good shots like that. Like it's really a very confident debut film.
Well, they had to do it. Like they were in talks with Warner Brothers to do The Matrix, but like they hadn't made anything. So Warner Brothers told them to go make this movie, and like they had to so it's almost like a proof of concept. Like if you kind of watch Bound, you can see like the it's not a prefab of The Matrix per se, but like the shots and the compositions are all in there, and like it was them proving that they could do it with very little money, so to where they would be willing, and like that's kind of the story behind Bound, which is I think is like a really neat film story.
Yeah, because I'm looking at this here. The budget was only $6 million. That's even back then. That's pretty modest. It's a very inexpensive film.
A lot of that probably just went to the actors, man, with the people that were on the film, like Joe Politano.
Because it all took place in 2 apartments, 1 bar,
maybe a couple parking lots.
A few parking lot outdoor shots, but it all takes place in like 3-4 locations, right? So
yeah, they didn't need many sets.
No. And they did and I think sometimes that can be hard to do, right? When you're restrained to the location, I think it takes a lot of creativity to make a film that's interesting. Even you can't rely on beautiful set pieces or
you got to write the situation, man, and you got to make sure it's compelling and fun. You can make it as goofy as you want. I mean, John Carpenter's proven that, but like he's kind of the guy that set the tone for like making a movie that takes place like everybody's stuck in a situation. And I think that a lot of other people have been able to take it and run with it, but it makes for a really strong, compelling film, in my opinion, if you can pull it off, though, and especially if you can do it with a small cast as well, and make it actually exciting and an interesting movie.
It especially works well in this one because like part of it is being like stuck in a marriage you don't want to be in, and the movie's called Bound. So like to have like it set all in a small space gives it like a claustrophobic feel at times that kind of like heightens a lot of the themes in it.
The biker boys are out there, man. I think Vin Diesel's robbing diesel trucks outside the shows.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids are out with their
Crazy.
crappy mufflers.
Summertime.
Yeah, exactly. Cookie. Did you have
Yeah.
Did you pick
I'm
one?
like, I'm the
remember.
worst guest ever. Like, I didn't
No.
send you any pictures. I didn't send you nothing.
No.
But well, I could tell you the first lesbian movie that I ever saw that like changed my life.
Changed your life. Wow.
No, well, I mean, it was really interesting to see. What I was like 13, 14. Movie's called All Over Me. I've brought it up on the show before,
All over me.
and I don't recommend watching it because I've rewatched it like now, and it's not that good. But, you know, like as a hormonal teenage girl, you know, questioning her own sexuality at the time, it was crazy to see a movie where like it's these girls who are my age who are just unapologetically gay, and they're just, and it's just it's almost like a crime whodunit story, you know, with gay girls involved and trying to find love, and it's a coming of age story that you would normally see as like, you know, like a boy girl meeting each other romance, but it's, you know, it's girls, it's women. And it was like, I'm like, this is a thing. Like when I was you know, young teenager growing up, it was interesting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it, but a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I have.
What was it, from like 97 maybe?
Now that I saw
90?
shots where she has like the T-shirt with the striped sleeve with playing the guitar, that I kind of recognize those.
Reminds me of one that I saw. I saw Doom Generation when I was in junior high. And that not lesbians, the other way around, kind of. And what was the guy that directed that? He made a bunch of those like really unabashed, violent, homosexual independent films. Oh, man, he was really good. But yeah, the Doom Generation, that was a really popular film for a while, you know what I mean? And it scared a lot of people because of the "you guys ready to go" scene.
Yeah.
Greg Araki.
Yeah. Yeah, he made a bunch of those. He made Nowhere, forget the other ones, but like he made there was a trilogy with Nowhere, Doom Generation, and I forget what the third one was. And yeah, he kind of like how you're explaining this one, man, just frenetic, you know, violent, but people shooting little, yeah, kind of like Natural Born Killers ish, but like, you know, like kind of toned down, not as like cartoon.
He's still doing stuff. He worked on the Dahmer show.
Oh, no kidding.
So yeah, Johnny, man.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with the God King himself, Clive Barker.
Oh yeah.
I when I first got introduced to this guy, his work just terrified me. I did not know anything about him. I was kind of like how Joe is with most creators, and then I did find out about him, and I got how his writing, the way he was raised in puritanical England, and you know, in the 60s and 70s, you know what I mean? Like his writing's kind of about, a lot of his horror is written about how he kind of perceived himself, the way the world told him how he was. Like the demons in Hellraiser are him, you know what I mean? Because that's the way the world made him think that he felt, because he wasn't just a gay man, he was a particularly kinky gay man. So like he was kind of I don't know, and I just really always appreciated his writing, and I kind of liked I don't know, the kind of unquiet violence that he had in some of his writings, like Age of Destiny. I don't know if you guys ever read that. It's a short story that was in Books of Blood, or like Rawhead Rex, which is about like this just unhinged penis monster. Like once you kind of find out like his backstory, you kind of like you get these stories in kind of this weird kind of perverse way, and it's like it makes you appreciate him really a lot more. At least for me, man, it kind of made me kind of sense his brilliance, because in a weird way, he's also, I did not know of like Lovecraft and all that stuff before finding Barker. Like basically Hellraiser and Hellbound Heart was my ticket into kind of like that type of ethereal otherworldliness. And like that became kind of, I love strange fiction is what I'm trying to say. And Barker was kind of my ticket into that, but I like his take on it so much more because it's so much personal, so much more personal, because it ties into like how the world made him think that he should feel about himself for so very long in his life. And I love that he turned that around and made it something that's beautiful. And he's such a happy man now in his older life, now that he's able to be who he is and do his paintings and, you know, work on whatever he wants to. And I just appreciate the hell out of him. I just find Clive Barker is like a complete icon to kind of look at and just see like what he had to deal with, what he overcame, how he dealt with that shit, and how he turned it into stuff that still terrifies me but makes me think that like, wow, look at that guy just putting it out there. Because I'm vanilla as hell. BDSM shit scares the hell out of me. Hellraiser still puts the shits into me, man. Like, and especially the movies are one thing, but like read Hellbound Heart, the way he describes the hooks and stuff. Like people say that it's not actual possible, like the stuff that he writes, but like it's still a vivid picture that he paints, and like it's horrifying. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it.
Because of Cookie's pick, I went back and I was like, what's the first movie I saw that kind of brought sexuality into question? And it was My Own Private Idaho.
Okay,
and I went down just to go see. I was like, oh, who made that movie? Obviously Gus Van Sant.
Yeah, Gus Van Sant.
That's right. He directed that, right?
Yeah, wrote and directed it.
Wow.
With Little like Keanu and Little River Phoenix
now. Yeah, River Phoenix, Keanu. I was like, oh, Keanu and River Phoenix. And I was what, 13 then, maybe 13. Yeah, probably 13 when I watched that. So let me tell you, it's a good thing my parents were home when I watched that. That'd have been an awkward viewing. Yeah. So my pick and Johnny's pick, we have 6 degrees of separation between our picks, and I'll do the rundown after I show my pick. So like Zach hinted at, one of my picks for movies or whatever would be the Wachowski sisters. People probably remember them as the Wachowski brothers when they first broke into film, better known for, as we talked about before, The Matrix, and the other movie we talked about, Bound, as well. Come on, there we go. So the 6 degrees of separation would be, they've gone on to do a few other things. One show in particular was Sense8 on Netflix, which starred Jamie Clayton, who was one of the stars in that show, who then got cast as Pinhead in the 2022 Hellraiser, whose franchise
full circle
was created by none other than Clive Barker.
There he is again.
So Johnny and I's pick are connected.
Small world.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, there is a 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah,
all right,
no
cool.
kidding, yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the whole thread for the 6 degrees. Yeah. So
when he said that, I just thought like tying like the Matrix and Hellraiser's like general aesthetics together, because like they are visually similar films if you take out the horror and the action, like, and you just kind of have like the characters kind of like they're also very similar looking.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was cool that they cast a trans woman to play Pinhead. I thought that was
well, that's how the lead the gash was originally written. Like when Frank saw them, he wasn't sure. He was pretty sure it was a woman, but he couldn't tell. Like when he encountered in Hellbound Heart in the book. So they were just like doing the character. So anybody that whined about that,
I thought I had a pic of her as Pinhead. She looked pretty cool as Pinhead.
yeah.
She was great.
I kind of wish they showed the Cenobites more, and that they looked fantastic.
Yeah.
That was like my only complaint is I wish that they kind of showed a little more. Like I didn't want it as bad as like some of the straight to video Hellraiser sequels, but like man, show them a little bit, show them at least as much as they did in like the first two.
Yeah.
But so the Wachowskis, like I didn't even realize that they had transitioned till one day someone was like I said, I don't keep up with all the gossip and the rumor mill stuff, like TMZ and all that stuff. So when I found out, I think it had already been multiple years they had already transitioned. I was like,
Lana transitioned when like they were making Cloud Atlas, I believe, and then Lily transitioned after Jupiter Ascending or around Jupiter Ascending.
That's true. Jupiter Ascending was them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's with Tatum and who?
What's her name? The 70s.
Mila Kunis?
Yeah, the 70s girl.
Kunis?
Yeah, Mila.
Yeah.
It's a weird cast. That's a
yeah.
I enjoy that movie.
They were preoccupied with other things back then.
It's an entertaining film. Like,
Sense8 is an interesting.
No,
show.
Sense8's a great show.
Yeah, Sense8 is good.
Yeah, pretty interesting concept of
some
great like scenes of when one couple's having sex and it like cues in with the other. I mean, there's some funny situational scenes in Sense8. It's fun.
Did they do more than 2 seasons of that? Because I only saw 2.
I think there's 5.
Okay.
Like 3, maybe 4 with a movie to close it out or something like that. Because I think they wanted to cancel it, but they allowed them. I think it was either a movie or a 3-episode season just to close out the story to wrap everything up. Something like that. Yeah, my sister was super into it. She's like, "Oh, you gotta watch this," and I was like, "Oh, the Wachowskis, all right." Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have watched it.
I think that was the second Netflix show I watched after Hemlock Grove.
Yeah, it was early on. Sense8 was one of their earlier. I think Sense8 was right at the beginning when Netflix series really started taking off, where they started really putting out series every few months that started catching on and started catching fire. Before that, I think they had just a few, right? They had House of Cards was one of their early successes.
Yeah.
There was one that they canceled.
Stranger Things was pretty early, wasn't it?
Oh, no. They were already full on. Yeah.
One of their first ones was bringing back Arrested Development for the new season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had Marco Polo or something, but they had to cancel it because production was way too expensive. That was one of their early ones that was popular, but they couldn't afford to make it because it was too expensive of a series to make.
Yeah.
So it took them all before they got their whatever you call template or.
Now they're just churning them out. So I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, they're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. Well, now they keep it to 3 seasons because I think the way I read is they get the actors before the show gets too popular and they all ask for raises. So they try to make 3-season things and roll it out before it gets too big and they have to pay the actors too much and it doesn't become.
They're really bad with scheduling too. I mean, look at Stranger Things, like Cookie just brought up. Yeah. I just watched Ghostbusters, man. Finn Wolfhard is like 30.
He's a man.
they're gonna be like this
he's a man.
Yeah, they're like he's a sophomore. Now I'm like, no, man. Like
no.
I just saw him drive the Ecto. All right. Like
yeah.
He could teach a college course now.
Yeah.
He's getting pretty tall now.
Yeah.
All right. So moving along. Now probably this will be one of our. What are we gonna do? TV now?
Let's
do some TV.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Television.
All right. TV it is. All right, Zach, man, what's your pick? I had no clue what this is. Your pick.
That's why I picked it. Yeah, I picked a show that flew a little bit under the radar, I think, but is very, very funny. It's called The Other Two, and it's a show on it was a Max original, HBO Max original, and the premise is like essentially the two main characters are the older siblings of like basically like a Justin Bieber type. So they have this like teenage sibling who's like blowing up, and they're like trying to get their own like entertainment careers. Like they're both aspiring actors. The brother wants to be an actor, and the sister wants to be a dancer. Anyway, it's a really funny show. It's got like Molly Shannon and Ken Marino play main parts on the show, and it's one of those shows that like behind the scenes of the entertainment industry.
Okay.
But the why I picked it for this episode is the brother is played by Drew Tarver, who's like a very funny actor, and I think wrote for the show, but he's gay, and just it was one of those shows that's like he has a lot of dating misadventures, and they have a lot of fun with that, and it's kind of played very slapsticky, which you don't always get to see with like non-straight relationships, which I thought was pretty funny, and like kind of like, look, the dating's embarrassing for everyone, So yeah, that was my pick, and I did pick it because I feel like they only did 3 seasons, and it's kind of like a complete story arc, so it's easy enough to do. There's like 10 episodes per season, but I feel like nobody talked about it, and yeah, so that's why I picked it. It's very funny. You'll blow through it, easy to watch, a lot of fun actors coming in and out.
Are they half-hour episodes?
Yeah, they're half-hour episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, those type of shows.
Anyone recommends a show with half-hour episodes to me, I'm like, all right, I'm game. Like, I'll do it. Like I'm always looking for more of those shows.
Like I could do that in a day.
It makes me think when you say like the way they tackle the gay relationship, how they make it slapstick and funny. There's a show I used to watch. It's done now in French television here, called Between the Sheets. It's a comedy where it follows 6 different couples, and there's a gay couple in it. And man, but it's a comedy, right? So all the relations, all like quirky little like everyday things that people can relate to, and it's great. And like the way you're saying they tackle the gay relationship in here, and makes me think of that show the way you describe it. And it's great how they just tackle relationships from they have a gay couple, they have kind of roommates, like the guy breaks up, so he has a friend move in after the breakup, and they kind of have a relationship, but anyway, it's kind of funny.
Oh,
then
roommates,
yeah, exactly. Then they have another one where it's a younger woman with an older man, then another one is a couple with a young child, and they tackle all the different forms of relationships in it, and it's a pretty fun show. I don't know if it's translated or anything, but I think there's 3 or 4 seasons of that, and that's a really fun if you're into like relationship sitcom type shows. That's a fun one.
How's Ken Marino on the show, Zach? I'm a huge fan of his ever since The State. Every time I see that idiot, I just think, I want to dip my balls in it.
Yeah. Ken Marino's great. Like, have you seen Party Down?
Yeah, yes. Of course. Yeah.
I think his character's similar to that, because he's like the manager. He's like the Justin Bieber character's manager. But he also like badly wants to be his friend, kind of like wants.
So it's a perfect Ken Marino character.
It's a perfect Ken Marino character, and like just like in Party Down, he has a ridiculous name, which is Streeter Peter Peters. So, I forget what his name was in Party Down, but I remember it was also like I think it was like Ron Donald.
Ron Donald.
Does that sound right? Yeah.
I just remember he wanted the super crackers, man. Like
super crackers. Yeah, Ken Marino's fantastic in it. He's always like so high energy and so funny.
Yeah, he's good for those types of roles.
And he just totally debases himself.
Yeah,
He
bad
does.
Milo. Man.
So that series just wrapped up last year, right?
It did, yeah. So it's done, and it has like it has a really good ending. Like the character. I mean, it's really funny and slapsticky. Like there's an arc where the character, the brother tries to like, this is really graphic. I don't know how to go into it, but he like tries to take a picture of his anatomy and like send it around, but accidentally sends it to like all these guys he's auditioning with.
Oh God.
But yeah, he has a really satisfying arc where he becomes like a famous actor, but like also kind of loses himself a little bit and like learns from it and stuff. So it's funny, but it's also like good characters and well done and stuff. And yeah, it's good. I think it was Lorne Michaels produced it, so it's kind of like and I think some of the writers also wrote for Saturday Night Live maybe.
Okay.
There's like just to kind of give you an idea, and it's all set in New York, so it's that
Mm.
sort of. I feel like there's a certain type of HBO show that's just like New York, and it's one of
Yes.
those, you know.
I can see it. Yes.
Like that John Wilson show where he's just walking around New York filming everything. I don't know if you all saw that.
All right, Cookie. You were reluctant. You didn't even say this one, but I remembered. So
Yes.
your pick. Well, I picked it for you because you didn't give us a
Pick for me,
show.
but I didn't because I'm horrible at this, and I'm bad at sending pictures and
And
stuff.
I know it's one of your favorite shows, so I was like,
It was a good pick, Joe.
so I went
Yeah.
and found a pick for it. So here we go. Cookie's pick.
Drag Race.
Which it can be, I don't think it's MTV anymore, is it? Because MTV doesn't.
Yes. No.
They just
Is
show
it-
ridiculousness, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much the ridiculous
Yeah,
channel by
basically.
now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
No, I think it airs on MTV and it streams on Paramount and Wow, which
Oh.
is like the World of Wonder app, which is like the best app on the entire planet. It's like $4 a month, and it's all the drag that you could ever consume. It's wonderful. But yeah, this is like, as far as I don't watch a lot of reality TV.
Mhm.
The only reality TV I really watch is Drag Race and all the international shows, and so they have it in Canada now, Joe.
Yeah. We went.
Yeah.
We went to Mado when you came to Montreal.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to go. I'm like, they mentioned it on Drag Race. I have to go.
Yeah.
And
It was a good show. It was one of the better ones. I've been like 3 or 4 times, and that was you caught one of the better shows. So you had a good one. You picked a good night to go.
Yeah. What I like about the show, I mean, obviously, it's funny and glamorous, and you get to see all the runways and the skits, but you also get a lot of backstory, and in the gay community, or the LGBTQ community, a lot of it is about found family, where you get rejected by what you're born
Yes.
into, and then you make your own family and your own community, and it's just it's really heartwarming to see stuff like that. And what this is, I know in the US, I think this is like the 17th season
Wow.
they've done. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So is it
it's
like
been
a season a year, or is it one of those like 2 seasons, like
well, I mean, at this
fall
point,
and spring type thing, or
if you're just doing like US Drag Race, it's like one season every year and a half
okay,
or
so
whatever.
it is, because some shows do like shorter seasons, but they do 2 seasons in 1 year type thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, the US takes a pretty big break, but you have all the the international stuff in between. You got Canada, UK, Mexico, France.
But
So
it's just so impressive to see RuPaul, like how
yeah.
Since I
RuPaul
was
has
a kid, though.
created
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
empire, really.
That's what it
You
is.
know?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to watch RuPaul like change her own stance on a lot of her bullshit that she would bring to the show. Like, I don't want trans people on the show. That doesn't count. I don't want, AFAB drag queens on the show. It doesn't count. And for RuPaul to be like, I really need to step back and rethink how I'm seeing my own community and to
Yeah,
change
well,
and to allow this on the show. It's great to watch that type of growth.
yeah, I've touched on it before because, not to put my age out there, but I'm 47 now.
Mhm.
So like I was going out nightlife in my 20s was great in the 90s, right? My young 20s was pure 90s, right? And uh I hung out with a lot of gay people for different reasons. And back in the 90s, bisexuals and gays did not like bisexuals. They were not regarded, they didn't regard them in a very high, and that slowly changed. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
the community changed over the years. It didn't just show up, the LGBT community, and it is what it is today. It
Mhm.
didn't just happen overnight.
Right.
It was a slow process. There was growth. The community itself learned to accept each other within the community. So it wasn't just like overnight where the like you said, like even you see it with RuPaul, right?
Mhm.
There is a lot of
Right. Because
like
everybody, whether they realize it or not, has their own prejudices,
Yep.
and
mhm,
it's up to you to educate yourself and to recognize where your prejudices are and to fix it. And
yeah.
that's and it's nice to see over 17 seasons of TV how far we've come.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, allowing a person to grow too.
mhm,
Like not just completely write them off, being like, listen, I don't agree with your stance or your views, but and like I say, anytime you come at someone, they're gonna react like anyone. It's gonna be confrontational.
mhm,
But whether you like it or not, I mean, people will reflect afterwards. In the moment,
right.
but they might not be as receptive. But maybe 2 weeks later, like they'll have time to stew on it and think about that conversation where it's a process. It doesn't just
Yeah.
happen because you tell
Hmm.
someone this, right? It's a slow process. When you changing someone's mind or make them realize something isn't just a click of the finger and it happens,
Yeah.
right? It's through dialogue, it's through education, it's through, and I mean, like, I hate it when people say it's not my job to educate you. Then you shouldn't be allowed in the conversation if that's the attitude you have, because
Mm,
some people just don't know, right? And if they're asking you an honest question and you're like, well, it's not my job to educate you, then you're a disservice to the thing you're representing,
yeah.
right? If you refuse to even, like, I mean, I'm a country boy. I grew up in the country. I didn't grow up in a big city where there's millions of peoples with tons of culture around me. Like, I mean, we had two black families, and the only reason why they were in our community is because they were teachers. They taught at the school. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been here. Like, it's very white, Caucasian, a lot of farmers around here.
I'm sure it's very
So
conservative also. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
to a certain point, yeah. But I mean,
Mhm.
so I was never exposed to a lot of stuff. So when I moved to the city, man, it was like a culture
Culture
shock,
shock.
right?
Yeah.
Oh
Not
yeah.
not in a bad way, in a great way. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, look at all. But some people, they're raised a different way, right? Where you're raised that something different is negative, it's bad, right? And to teach these people that that's not necessarily true can be hard,
Mhm.
So, you know, I mean, and I see it, and like I have family that's very conservative, like gay adoption is something they don't believe in, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I've had multiple debates and conversations with them, and with time, they've come around and thought about it, and they've had kids that question their sexuality, which was a huge like shock to them and an eye
Yeah.
opener, right? So they
Oh
soften
yeah.
their stances, and in life, you're constantly learning and evolving. And I think
And that's how it
to
should be.
yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, and just to write people off outright just because they don't share the same views as you is wrong, and we'll never get anywhere with that type of attitude from whichever side of the fence you're on. Like I think that dialogue should be open. We might not always see eye to eye, but we got to at least respect the conversation that we're having at the moment with each other. Anyway.
Agree. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well said.
So, Johnny.
Oh man, I don't have a TV show really.
No? All right, I'll do a TV show then. I have one. There we go. Kids in the Hall. Man.
Great pick.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
great pick.
I was maybe 13 when this show started, and it's another Lorne Michaels production.
Yeah.
So yeah, great show. I mean, most people are familiar with it. There's that great bit with what's his name? Who's the gay guy on it?
Scott Thompson.
Scott Thompson.
Thompson, yeah.
Where he does his he tells the stories about his gay adventures and stuff, where he's in the bar and he's just telling his stories.
My favorite one, T-Rex with those gay little hands. Yeah. Dude, like
his bits were so great,
Yeah.
And I mean, all the guys dress up as women in it. They all have a character where they're dressed as a woman. Just a fantastic show that just broke down so many walls, and so so my hat's off to Kids in the Hall. And even when they came back, like I was like, they took it to another level, full frontal.
Yeah.
When they came back on Prime, I was like, what the fuck? They're like, jump up and down, and they're jumping up and down full. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, so I love Kids in the Hall. Like I grew up on that. It's a Canadian show that it's nice to see that it got like global recognition, and like I think everyone can say, well, at least in North America, at least, like,
Yeah, I remember it too growing up. It had a big imprint here as well.
Yeah.
It's like a thing we'd watch late at night at friends' houses when we had sleepovers.
Yeah, it was
and
on,
stuff.
I think, Friday nights at 11.
Yeah.
I think maybe that was the slot, so they could get away with a lot of stuff at 11 o'clock. That's one thing about the 90s. All these shows that were more risque always got these like 11 o'clock midnight spots on a Friday or Saturday night.
On like HBO or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Like X-Files, when it first started, aired, I think, at midnight on Fridays. Their first season, or first couple of seasons, yeah. Till it got super popular, then it got the Sunday evening slot.
Yeah, it had the Simpsons lead in.
Yeah,
like,
they got the prime time slot on Sundays, or right after prime time. Yeah.
What's your favorite skit from Kids in the Hall, Joe? Do you have one?
Oh god damn it!
It's a hard question.
It changed as time went. You got your Crush Your Head was always good.
I love that one. Crush Your Head.
Yeah, that one was always good. The Chicken Lady was always a fun one, where she rides the thing, and then when she has an orgasm, the feathers explode everywhere. That's always great. What else was there? Like I said, his gay stories were always fantastic. Damn. It's hard, man. There's so many great ones. I remember there's one where what's the guy's name from the tall one? McKenna?
Mark McKinney?
Mark McKinney, where he's in his apartment and there's a mouse and it's driving him crazy. And then he gets all Rambo style trying to kill the mouse and stuff. And he's like, no. So he's getting like cheese and these elaborate like schemes to try to catch the mouse. Some of them were like
weird,
really dark, weird humor.
Yeah.
It was like almost like short art house movies. Like it was weird, like a fantastic show. Really weird, like The Factory Worker, where he gets acid put on him and he comes back as a ghost. And there's some weird sketches in that. I mean, there's a lot of weird ones. So
we were kind of spoiled with like really kind of strange sketch comedy in the 90s with The State also. And then a little bit later, Mr. Show was also
Mr. Show, yeah.
Greg the Bunny was pretty good.
Greg the Bunny, yeah. Forgot about that one.
My favorite Kids in the Hall one, it was Kevin McDonald and Bruce McCullough were waiting to meet with Mark McKinney to go to the movies, and like basically everything that Kevin McDonald says, Mark McKinney makes fun of. He's like, "Oh, you like Woody Allen? Oh, well, let's go see the Genius then." And like Kevin McDonald just breaks down on him and calls him a big piece of jerk. It's a really stupid skit, but the way they do it, it's just super funny, man.
Yeah.
Great
And
show.
They do like a bunch. They do like songs every once in a while too.
These are the Daves I know.
Yeah, the Dave
These are the
song. That's classic. Yeah, these are the Daves. This is Dave something. I don't really know him. Yeah, it's a great show. I mean, yeah. Oh, Chris is in the house. Yeah. So Johnny, man, I think you have you didn't touch on your comic creators.
Yeah, no, I have Rye Hickman.
Yes.
Most of their work is credited as Jen Hickman. They had already transitioned, but like they didn't pick their new name yet, from what I understand. I first discovered them when everybody knows that I really, really loved Aftershock books. Like what happened with them broke my heart. But Rise art, it was one of the things that really drove me to the label. Like when I saw the stuff for Moth and Whisper,
Oh yeah.
I was just blown away. And like Devin was talking earlier about like trans representations and trans characters in comics, and I think Rye kind of draws like my favorites. I really love the their take on the form and the way that they kind of just represent the pure androgyny, because I believe Rye is non-binary. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't completely research them, but I do know that that's a lot how most of their characters are. Like they never really define, what sex the characters may have been at one time. If you even are hung up on that anymore, like I don't care. Yeah, whatever. In my opinion, whatever makes your life suck a little bit less, and I only have to make the small concession of calling you what you would like me to call you, then that's justified. That's fine.
Right.
Like,
It's
I don't
such a small
understand.
thing.
Yeah. It's
I don't
easy.
understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand the conceit that people have. But what really blew me away, and I kind of wish that they would do more of this, is their horror work. If you've ever read Lonely
Oh, that book.
Receiver,
Yeah. That
oh
book
man,
was
Wow.
fantastic.
I love that.
the giallo art, like their Rise work in that almost rivals Maria Lovett's in like There's Nothing There. Like if you like that kind of really Italian giallo looking horror, like, oh, it's just so lovely in the book. And it really Zach Thompson's story is really twisted and kind of fits the art perfectly. It's, in my opinion, it's a lot like Maria Lovett and Brian Azzarello's Faithless. You know what I mean? They kind of work so well together, and her androgynous art fits his like story about metamorphosis so well, because it's got like this very Dario Argento meets David Cronenberg, which is right up my alley, with a bunch of Mandy thrown in there too. So like, hell yeah, give me all of that. But yeah, Rye Hickman just always impressed me. Their coloring is magnificent too. You'll see them credited in a lot of books just for their colors. They're a colorist. I think that's how they started before Aftershock gave them penciling duties, because I remember they used to do colors for a bunch of Image books before I saw them as an artist. And that's kind of a thing about comics that always twists me out when I look at people that do colors and then do lettering, and then you see them draw and they're fucking better than some of the guys that are legitimately doing books for Marvel. And like you're just like, why are you doing colors? God damn it. Like you're an amazing artist. Like, how does this make sense? Like, what?
It's whatever you get called on.
Yeah,
have this
happens.
coloring
whatever's
job.
giving you
You're
that
like,
paycheck.
Well, it's like finding out that Taylor Swift was the drummer. You know what I mean? Before
was she?
No, but I'm saying like,
Okay.
it's that kind of a situation.
I don't know. I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan, so
Well,
I don't know.
I was just using that as a place marker. It's like,
could have been. I don't know.
Like
a one that
Collins
always
of this generation.
one that always trips me out is how Cliff Chang was an editor at DC for years. He's like one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
He'd worked as like an assistant editor in Transmetropolitan and a couple other books. Like,
Okay, well, because the first time I remember seeing his art, he did a Vertigo book called "Beware the Creeper." Really good reimagination of the classic character. I love that graphic novel, and ever since then, I've also been pretty obsessed with his work. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
pretty close to Eduardo Rizzo, which is like god tier in my opinion. But yeah,
I'm with
like
you, man. Yeah, he's like one of those automatic buy whatever he does.
yeah, Cliff Chang is incredible.
I remember, speaking of like transitioning, I remember when with the N Pod, we recorded an episode and we were talking about Umbrella Academy or something.
Yep, and
And
Elliot.
Elliot Page
Elliot Page.
hadn't transitioned yet. So we kept saying, and this wasn't a live one. This was like a pre-recorded, edited, and then release. So the time that we recorded to the time it was edited and released, Elliot Page had released that they had transitioned.
Mm-hmm.
So when the episode dropped, we got flagged
For dead naming, huh?
for dead naming, and we're like, "Well, we can't change the past." The original recording was recording on a certain date. It took me 2 weeks to get the editing done, and then when it was released, like the same week, I think, or like within days, Elliot Page had released that they had transitioned. So it just
And now you
happened
look like a
right.
jerk.
Then we look like
Yeah.
a bunch of assholes that just keep dead naming Elliot Page, right? And then we're like, so then we had to write a thing to so we'd get the strike taken off, right? To explain the situation. And then then the episode got released eventually, but it got flagged pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because it dropped. It was funny how the episode just dropped right as it got released. So it was like in the forefront of the media and everything. And that episode dropped right at the same time. It was just funny timing.
Bad timing, yeah.
Another artist that I have that I'm just going to throw out there, Emma Rios. They did the art for Pretty Deadly. They also did a book about transitioning. It was in Island Magazine called ID, which was very, very good. They're an incredible artist. They're from Spain. I think I think they mostly work with Kelly Sue DeConnick though. And like, yeah, Pretty Deadly is some of my favorite art like that's come out in a long time.
Yeah.
And Emma Rios is also one that like I think really captures the transform well in comics and kind of makes it very exciting and like a very interesting take on it. Like I highly recommend checking them out as well.
Another one that I have that I had a huge conversation with at the comic shop with one of the employees there is Axel Lenoir. Does work for Front Froid here, but Front Froid has a deal with IDW. So Through the Forest, is that one of the titles, or The Pathway? Anyway, that's one of the books they did. And they write from a revisionist history kind of deal where it's almost like an autobiography, but their younger self is a girl. And then he's talking to me like, I don't understand. I was like, well, because they never viewed themselves as a boy. So when they write about themselves when they're young, they write about themselves as they view themselves now. So not he, but they wrote themselves as a girl. So I'm trying to explain it to him. He's like, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. I was like, it's just because it'd be like as if Axel would be dead naming herself, right? If you know, and I was like, I understand where you're coming from, but you got to understand kind of why
it makes sense.
They're coming from in their point of view. And
well, the thing is, where people draw the line of disbelief. You know what I mean? Like they can read superheroes, they can read all this stuff and accept it fine, but like seeing that like this person remembers themselves as a little girl, like that's beyond.
That's where I draw the line.
That's what they can't understand.
Yeah, but it's not a fictional story, so I could see where they're like, the guy at the comic shop was like, he was super confused. He's like, so I was like, no, they're a trans woman, which means when they were younger, they. So I had to get into like the nuts and bolts and be like, And there's a whole like anyway, so he kind of got it at the end, but he's like,
It took him a while to get there.
yeah, he's like, that doesn't make sense though, because he's a very like, you know, like
black and white kind of.
Not black and white, but it has to be factual and accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas telling a story from an emotional and like the way you view yourself point of view isn't, you know, so he, because the story was told more like this was my youth, you know, and so he's like, so the guy at the comic shop's like, so the person's a guy now. I was like, no. I had to like get into it. It was like,
how long did this take? Were you there a long time? Like, you have like charts and stuff.
Yeah, this is like a 45-minute conversation I had with him. But he likes to talk a lot. That guy at the comic shop too. Yeah. So
I've had some comic shop guys like that.
So
it's like, I'm picking my books. I need an hour and a half. You know?
Yeah, exactly. They go on about, did you read this? And they tell you, I didn't read it yet. Oh, whatever. This is what happened. And they tell you like panel by panel the whole fucking comic, you know?
Oh, I hate that.
You're like, well, I don't need to buy this now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So anyway, I just remember that interaction. It was funny. He was like, oh, it was good though.
At least he enjoyed it.
I was just
yeah.
I'm just trying to understand. That's what he was like.
I just don't understand. But you know what? It goes back to what you were saying before about you know, teaching people and you know, so it's good.
Good on you for being that patient.
I mean, if it's not coming from an ignorant place, it was really him just not understanding.
Just confused.
Well, he was ignorant, but he wasn't maliciously ignorant.
Yeah, it wasn't.
He was inquisitive about it.
No, he literally did not know. He did not understand, not because he refused to understand.
Right.
It was just the opposite. He wanted to understand why he couldn't understand this story. He's like, I'm missing something.
He's
somewhere.
Like, help me.
Yeah. He's like,
make it make sense.
He's like, I don't know, I'm missing something somewhere. Do you know? I was like, I know the creator, so I can kind of give you a lot of context that'll help you understand the story a lot better.
It's nice of you. Yeah.
So,
and that's going to be coming out from IDW, like one of their foreign releases. I like that they're doing that now.
Comes out in French. Like Cab is the same thing. U-Town.
Yeah,
that was a Fouad book before. That's a Quebec publisher here, and I think they have a deal with IDW. So any of their top-selling books often get put out in English, translated into English at IDW.
I think that's Oni.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh no, Oni. That's right, Oni. Sorry, not IDW. Oni.
The copy of U-Town I have is Oni, because we're going to do an episode on that because you have it too, right? Or
it was free. I was reading it for free.
Okay.
Because when she was putting it out, she had put out as she was making it, it was free, like in French on her site. She had the French version up on her site.
I always end up buying Oni books, man. Like, I don't know. They always get like
sorry. My mistake. It's Oni, not IDW. It's Oni. You're right.
Well, IDW be picking up a lot of European stuff too. They have like their, or at least last time I looked, they had a European line that they were putting out.
No, but the other one's Oni as well. It was me confusing things there.
And the more European books we get over here, the better, man.
It's not European. It's North American. It's from Quebec.
Okay, my bad.
Foreign. How about
Trust
that?
me.
Foreign
don't tell a French person that a Quebecer is the same as them. Woo! You're opening up a can of worms there, man. That's like an Englishman saying,
"I'm an American." French people
from the South is the same as an English person from England.
Joe, I'm an American. They ain't gonna treat me any better than they treat you. Have you ever like French people? If they're like that, if they're gonna be like that type of like, they're not gonna put up with me any more than they are like probably a Quebecois. I didn't know that there was beef between y'all though. I thought that like
French people. A guy lost his job here. He was French from France at the paint shop, and a bunch of contractors said they were going to stop buying. They're going to go to another shop if they kept that employee because he was from France.
Oh,
Wow.
stop.
So he lost his job because of that.
That's like
That's
serious
awful.
beef. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, French Quebecois and French from France. A lot of them don't like each other.
You're all supposed to be nice up there. What's wrong with you?
In Quebec, if you speak French, they'll be nice to you. Otherwise, don't expect a very warm welcome.
Mm.
Yeah. No. Maritimes are super nice. Go to the Maritimes if you want people to be super kind to you and welcoming.
Mm.
Go take a vacation in the Maritimes. Extremely nice and welcoming. Quebec, a lot of people have attitudes if you don't speak French. Yeah. There's a lot of super nice French people, but there's a lot of pricks too. So
Mm.
I feel like they like that image though. Like that,
Yeah.
the snooty Frenchman. Like that's not one they. Some of them don't run away from it.
it's a lot of it's because of the separatists stuff here. So
Mm.
A lot of berets being worn, a lot of French baguettes being thrown around.
yeah. Do we have anything else? Any other picks we didn't touch on? I don't think so.
Good with
we went
mine.
around.
Yeah, I had
Think we
fun
did 'em
talking
all.
about my stuff. But
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks guys for coming on.
that was fun. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it's always a good time. Johnny,
Yeah, man.
Saturday.
Saturday.
we have Doug Wagner coming on the show on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. Underneath the stars, heads are going to roll because Doug Wagner is going to be here, and we're going to talk about like all of his stuff because like we learned like he doesn't just write fun degenerate horror stuff. Like he also writes some pretty cool older YA noir, which I thought was really good with Narco. And yeah, we're going to get into all of that with him. He is
and his follow-up is out. I think issue
Plastic
2.
issue 1 is out.
Issue 1's out, and I think 2's either drop this Wednesday or it's dropping next Wednesday. I'm not sure.
So yeah, we're gonna have him on. He was voted both mine and Joe's best writer of 2023. So, and yeah, it's gonna be a
Boom, Plush. What else came out that year? Those two? Was he the other one?
Those two, and then Narco also came out, but we didn't read that until this year.
Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna have him on. It's gonna be a gush fest, man. Don't expect us to go hard hitting on him. We're just gonna.
It's not going to be a
be
hard
fun.
hitting interview.
Well, I mean, he doesn't really cover much controversial subject matter. His books are really quirky and fun. So, I mean,
and with Narco, he seems to be on the the ally path. I mean, like that character. One of the main cruxes is the villain tried to hold the trans friend against and like the main character Narco. He was like, "Nah, dog, you're fucking." Jake Gyllenhaal looking ass is all wrong. You ain't trying to against my friend.
Spoilers.
What?
It's revealed later.
What?
That the friend is trans.
Oh. Well, yeah, my bad.
Spoilers, God.
Yeah, spoilers. Rewind. Anyway, it's not a big. It's not like not a huge plot point.
It's not
won't wreck the
earth-shattering.
book.
Yeah,
it won't wreck the book.
It's still it's a great 5-issue little series, man. Really good art by Hilliard like usual, but that's besides the point. I really hope you guys I'm really happy that this Pride Month has kind of gone off without a hitch. Like I haven't heard of any like violence at any of the any of the parades or anything this year, which is really good. Like because this is
considering the climate.
Yeah, and it's an election year, and all
elections coming.
Yeah, and just the general. Yeah, everybody's pissed, man. Like it's a scary time right now, and it's kind of cool that this Pride Month it's been a little quiet. I know that like there's a little controversy because everybody's making fun of Target and them for pulling out and not selling the T-shirts anymore, and that's kind of why I really wanted to do this episode, man. I thought that this is an important time because with some of the politics that's going around, that it's an important time that if you want to show support for LGBTQ plus and marginalized voices, you got to stand up and say that you actually do support them. And and I don't want to make this seem excludatory to anybody because we kind of picked our favorites and talked about certain creators, but like we support all y'all.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Show.
And I'm sure I support a lot that I'm not even aware of.
yeah.
I'm sure if I did more digging into the creators I read, like their personal lives, I'm sure I'd probably
and
find a lot.
don't just keep it to Pride Month. Like stay supportive. Like I like that there's a month for it, but I also think that it's a thing that like it is milked for stupid reasons. But I also think that I also think it's a good that it's there to kind of remind people too that like fucking pay attention to these people. They're doing great stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even though like people think that it's better for them nowadays, it's really not. It's a fucking hard life.
Everything's going backwards right now.
So if you have friends, if you have people that you look up to, if you have people who write stuff that you think is incredible, that are a marginalized voice, man, don't be afraid to stand up and support them, please. And with that, that's kind of all I got to say. You guys good to go?
I think that's a perfect way to.
Yeah, can't say it any better.
Sign off.
Yeah.
All righty.